Okay, so this week we are looking at inclined lines again, and we are going to be looking at using your 45-degree set square. So this is the first question. So Harringtons is a quarry company based in County Mayo, Sligo and Galway. Create the drawing of the logo using only your 45-degree set square. So the first thing that you have to do is discard your 60-30 set square and make sure that the only set square you are using is your 60 or your 45 degree. So that one there. So the one that has the 90-degree angle and two equal sides, not the one with the long edge. Right, so let's get going on this question. So the first thing looking at this question is I have to draw a square. So 180 wide and 180 tall. So to start this question, I am going to measure in 60 from the left hand side. So in 60 from the bottom corner, and I'm lightly going to bring a line up, and I'm going to measure up 60 as well. So in 60 and up 60, and that is my starting point. Okay, so just zoom in on that. So from my starting point, I'm going to draw a square, so a horizontal line over, and I'm going to measure over 180 on that horizontal line. And I'm going to bring two vertical lines going up. Remember, when you're doing horizontal and vertical lines should always be drawn with the T-square, and the T-square should be snapped into the board. And vertical lines should be drawn by snapping your set square onto your T-square. So a vertical line, and I want that vertical line to be 180. And the same over here, 180. And I'm going to draw it across. So there is the square that my question is going to fit inside. So I'll just zoom right on that now so we can see it. That's 180 by 180. Okay, now the first thing looking at this question that I have to do is I'm actually going to divide up that square into four smaller squares. So if I measure over halfway of 180, it will be 90. So that's that 30, 30 and 30. So measure in 90, I'm going to draw a line up. And I'm going to measure down 90 and draw a line across. And that's going to give me the four squares in the four corners. So what does that actually look like? On the top line, I'm going to measure in 90. And I'm going to bring it down. And I'm going to measure up 90 on the left-hand side. I'm going to bring it across. So now I have four squares, all 90 by 90. So this is 180 by 180. And now I have 90 by 90, 90 by 90, 90 by 90, and 90 by 90. Okay. So looking at this question here, what do we actually have? So far all I have is I have the square on the outside, so the big one, which is 180 by 180. And I have the four squares in the four corners. Now what I can also see is the letter H for a start. So I think I might do that first. So the letter H, and then I have all of these inside triangles as well, which I'll come back to in a little while. Okay, so to start this letter H, the first thing I'm going to have a look at is I need to measure all these 30s on the bottom. So 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. There's 6 of them in total. And I need to measure up 15 from the bottom as well. So what does that look like on my page? So the first thing is, on the bottom line, I need to measure my 6 30s. So 30, 60, I already have 90, 120, and 150. And I'm lightly going to bring all those up. And I also have to measure up 15 from the bottom as well. So measuring up 15 from the bottom and drawing that line across. So now I can start to see the H in the middle of the logo taking place. Okay, let's refer back to the drawing here for a second and have a look at our dimensions. So I've added in the 180 and the 180. I've added in the four squares with all my 90s. And I've added in those 6 30s in the bottom and the 15 here. So what's left in terms of dimensions? I have a 15 up the top as well. So from the top line, I'm going to measure down 15. And from the middle point, I have a 30. But you can notice that the 30 is either side of the middle. So from the middle point, I need to measure up 15 and down 15. So I'm going to do that now. So first things first is from this top line here, I'm going to measure down 15. And I'm going to draw it across. And from this middle one here, I'm going to measure up 15. And I'm going to measure down 15. I'm going to bring those across as well. So 1 and 2. Okay. So now I can clearly see the H in the middle. But if I actually look at the H, just zooming in on it here, I can see that the H actually has some angles on it as well. So to draw this H, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find this diamond here in the middle using my 45-degree set square. I'm going to do that first, and that's going to help me find some of these points for the H. Okay? So what does the diamond look like? And this is where your 45-degree set square comes in. So make sure that you're using your 45-degree set square. And the first thing I'm going to do, if I was to just label these points, if I label that A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. So that's just all the middle points, all of my 90s. So the first piece of the diamond goes from B to H. Now, just to show you how it's done, make sure your T-square is snapped on, make sure your set square is snapped onto your T-square, and slide it over, and a 45-degree line should join B to H. Flip your 45-degree set square around, so it was that way. Flip it around this way, and you should have a 45-degree line from H to F. If you flip it around again, you should have a 45-degree line from F to D. And if you flip it around again, you should have a 45-degree line from B to D. So there is that diamond shape in the middle, and that gives us an awful lot of the profiles that I was actually looking for. Now I'm going to try and start filling some of the H in heavy. So first things first, if I just add in some dimensions here, actually, that was 15, that was 15, that was 15, that was 15, and all these were 30s. Okay. So the first part of my H starts in this corner here, and it goes all the way up until it stops 15 millimeters short at the top. Okay, I'm going to leave that one there for a second. It comes over on the bottom, over 30, and it comes up to here, and it goes all the way over 60. Might just do this in a Sharpie to make it stand out a little bit more. That goes all the way down, all the way over. Up here, now this doesn't go to the center line, it goes down 15 from the center. You can see that in your dimensions. This goes over, and this is going down. Back over another 30. And I'm going to leave that there for a second now as well. Now if I go back up here to this corner of the H, the top right hand corner, if I'm looking at the question, it goes all the way over until it hits the diamond. When it hits the diamond, it comes back at a 45-degree angle, and then it goes back down to this 15 here. So it doesn't go down to the middle again. It stops there. Okay. Now I'm going to draw in this part of the H here, this line in there. So what actually happens to this one? It goes all the way down to the center line. And when it hits the center line, it comes back up at 45 degrees. And it comes back over. Now just make sure when you do that, that it's level with H. This point here should be level with H in the middle. It doesn't go down any lower than that. And the last thing that I've left to do to finish the H is I'm just going to label this point here. Where did I finish with my labels? GH. I'm going to label this point here. I'm going to call it I. So what I need to do with I is I need to bring it horizontally across, because I'm going to need that now in 1 second. Because to finish off my H, this here comes all the way up level with I. We'll call this one J, and from J it goes out at 45 degrees and it comes over then. So that's a little bit complicated to find that H. So just make sure you're using your 45-degree set square and follow my labels there to find those points. And finishing it off then, I'm just looking at the logo here. So I have this profile in here. So the top left-hand corner and the bottom right-hand corner, I have nothing. But I have this section in here to draw in heavy. So from G to H, from H up to B, and I don't draw it through the H, it stops both sides, so it stops there and it continues on there. So from B to D, and again, it doesn't go through the letter H, it stops in the middle and continues on. From D to F, and again, it doesn't cut through the H, it stops. And from F to H, and again, it doesn't cut through the letter H itself. And I also have to draw in the crosshairs as well. So a vertical line down the middle of it. Again, that doesn't cross through the letter H, it stops. And a horizontal one that doesn't cross through the letter H either. So it doesn't go anywhere in there and continues on there. And finally, just to finish it off, I have a finishing line from G to F and a finishing line from B to C and C to D. So that is this week's logo. Now that's a little bit more complicated than a lot of stuff we've been doing, so just take your time with that. And when you are finished, you can add in a touch of colour onto it, which I'm going to do now. So following the colour scheme in the book, this one down here is like a dark blue. Just shading it in. Shading that one in there. And then shade the inside ones differently. Okay, that's this week's question.